let's talk about New York and New Jersey. And I don't know about y'all, but when I think about New York and New Jersey, I'm thinking big, dense cities. Lots of buildings, concrete, and lots of people, which means infrastructure. And of course, unions. Unions theoretically serve as a check to executive greed because we all know American style capitalism works best when people at the bottom are doing all the work and are treated and paid the worst. So, to properly maintain these big, complex cities without the workforces getting totally screwed over, unions are necessary. It makes total sense that we're seeing a massive rise in union activity in the cannabis industry, and even more sense that we see them on at the forefront of New York and New Jersey cannabis. Speaking of which, the United Food and Commercial Workers Union, UFCW, in New York and New Jersey last week launched what they say is the first in the nation apprenticeship program for. Oh, sorry about that, y'all. Sorry about. I'm usually on point. I'm usually on point with that. Apologize. But UFC's partnered with Queens-based cannabis place to establish uh, an official certification program for aspiring cannabis professionals. Hugh Giordano of UFCW Local 360 told the Post that no one has done this before. He said, "We have a visionary employer harnessing the unmatched cannabis industry expertise to train ambitious, local, but often overlooked talent. It's a scalable and repeatable model that delivers great value for employees, owners, and customers." Um, Cannabis Place founder Osbert Orduna is an ex-Marine and a disabled vet who operates a licensed dispensary in Jersey City and a delivery service in Queens. Orduna says he's linked with that UFCW to build a 2-week apprenticeship program for bud tenders as part of the community benefits program he submitted while obtaining their licenses. He said he also offers a $1,000 stipend for participants in the program, and his firm's hiring those who graduate and earn a certificate. Not too shabby. Per the article, students are taught about the history of cannabis, cultivation processes, seed to sale programs, THC, cultivars, and terpenes, but also customer service, conflict resolution, basic business acumen, and essential state cannabis regulatory measures. 80 hours of classroom instructions packed into the 2-week program, followed by a 2,000 hour on the job apprenticeship before applicants officially can call themselves certified. Arduino is currently the only operator with active licenses in both New York and New Jersey. And he says that he was eager to work with the union. And as a Colombian, pleased that most of the first 22 graduates were people of color. Both New York and New Jersey have had plenty of issues rolling out licenses for both states' industries, with countless examples of overpromising and under-delivering from bureaucrats running the show. Massive delays have led to angry legal entrepreneurs sitting on mounting bills and stale product. New York State currently lists 26 licensed retail dispensaries and delivery services, with 11 in New York City. New Jersey's got 38 dispensaries open, with 13 being exclusively medical. With both states anticipating a tidal wave of license activations over the next 6 to 8 months, the UFCW's early jump on the scalable workforce training model with uniform SOPs could serve as a blessing for new operators looking to hire folks ready to hit the ground running with them. I can think of plenty hypothetical arguments against hiring union labor as a legal plant touching business owner, but I've never legally owned a plant touching business. I'm just Rico Lamite, the dopest dad on the street for Hot 9 News. So I want to know what Jason Beck and the rest of y'all who have think. Is UFCW the trained workforces? Are they the wave of the future or just another weak stream? Let's hear it.
Yeah, I'm not buying none of this BS. They're probably going to train these workers to have terrible habits and just want to mess up employee workflow.
Um, okay. Well, I'm gonna
That's
take a little bit more positive uh approach here. Oh, somehow I'm like off the camera. I don't know what's going on here. But first I want to just say that I've been a huge advocate uh since I even started to understand what weed was myself for a requirement, some kind of certification program that bud tenders go through because they are the weed pharmacists. They are. And these are minimum wage individuals who get scheduled, 15 to 30 hours a week. They come in, you know, right after going to college or taking care of their kid or whatever the fuck they just did. They're coming in with their real life shit on their back. They don't have any real training in diagnoses or even understanding some of the more common medical aspects that diagnoses that people have. And so it's absolutely critical that these individuals are successful in their job. And the way that we do that is we make sure that they fully understand the efficacy of this plant, and we make sure that they understand how important their role really is, because they are the voice of how the plant works to the new customer. All of us, you know, executive level individuals who are creating businesses and building businesses and sitting behind desks and making the tough decisions, we're forgetting that at the end of the day, that customer who's brand new, who heard from a friend of a friend that this particular medicine might help them, but they have no idea. And then they go in and talk to a 21-year-old college student with no training. It's just all wrong. So having a training for bud tenders is absolutely essential and should be required. And then also they should be paid during this training. I think I heard a
Yeah.
2,000 hour requirement. Okay, so
No, there's
frame this up.
no, during the
Frame this
2 week yeah, during the 2 week course, there is a $1,000 stipend. They get paid that $1,000 for taking the course, and then it's on the job training. So they're actually getting paid while they have
excellent.
those 2,000. Yeah, they're getting those 2,000 hours in of apprenticeship. After that, they have to complete until they're quote unquote certified.
Check this shit out. Are you ready?
How many
Okay,
hours is this
so
course?
I went to graduate school to be a therapist for mental health while I was a social worker. So working as a social worker, going to grad school.
Yeah.
When I finished grad school, that was a 3-year program. Get out of grad school, and now I have to do 3,000 hours of supervised client contact therapy. 3,000. And guess how much the stipend was to pay me for that? 0. I had to pay the therapist who had the license to oversee me for the privilege of working with him. Okay?
That's
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 what
how
I'm
my wife
talking
gets
about
paid.
right there. That's what I'm talking about.
That's what my wife gets paid. She
And
gets
so
like
what I'm saying
8
is
supervisions a
this
week.
is the right thing to do. When you're paying someone to when you're teaching someone a new skill for a job, they should be paid. Also, we wouldn't have this problem if teaching what cannabis really does in science class, like all the other plants when the kids are in junior high and high school. That's all. I'm gonna be quiet. Your guys' turn.
Oh boy.
What do you think? What do you think, Saint Germain? You've run a shop before, man.
I think we really need a lot more training for bud tenders. I go in all the time and I, act like the idiot that I am and talk to them. And what I find is most of the time bud tenders just recommend whatever they can afford to smoke and or whatever the brands have been giving them to smoke because they don't really have access to most of the products they sell. And I think the number one thing that a store could do is have days where they just, buy one of each product, sit their bud tenders down and actually let them explore and experience each product so they can speak from a bit more of a of a wealth of experience instead of just blindly
But
winning to things.
Isn't that part of like brand ambassadors' jobs at the same time, Matthew, to come in and educate your staff on their products and give you guys
PADs?
samples and all of that with PADs and different things like that. That's mostly what that's
It's currently
Absolutely.
it's currently incredibly imperative for that to happen. But I mean, if you were to look at even go to a bottle barn, bro, you can go to a bottle barn and you can get more help from somebody at a bottle barn. And I've never once seen, I'm sure they do it, but I've never once seen like a PAD day or a buy one, get one free for Tito's handmade vodka or
they have
or Patron, right? So go ahead.
I was just gonna say they have AA
say, yeah.
meetings at Bottle Barn now.
I'm not in AA, never had an addiction.
Okay.
But back to what I was saying, the number one thing I do, and I would really tell people, to ask for if you go into one of these establishments and you're really looking to find out, I ask who is the most degenerate weed smoker that works there. Usually that's the one guy who's actually going to be able to tell you because nobody can even tell you is this one harsh? Is this one harsh? How does this one smoke? What's the highlight of this one? And most of the time these kids just want to recommend stuff that's dipped in distillate and rolled in THCA because they're making minimum wage and they're just trying to get the most bang for their buck.
Well,
And I am really looking for flavor.
Well, at the same time, too, Matthew St.
Sounds
Germain,
like my trip to Chicago.
most of the customer base is mostly concerned with whatever percentage of THC it is at the same time, too. So that's why a lot of the time you find them recommending these distillate keef enhanced pre-rolls.
All of this just goes back to 215 and when the stores began taking over. And all of these cats who had little balls and their dad or their uncle's credit card to open a shop could do so. And because they had no clue what they were doing and they really had no clue to the experiential side of cannabis and they just wanted to make money, it all became about THC percentage because that was a way that people who don't know anything could at least have a number to pitch to their customer. But again, has anybody here ever gone to a wine or other alcohol tasting event and you go to some really nice winery and they have hors d'oeuvres and they have a live band, playing chamber music, and they bring out their Old Vine Zinfandel and they start telling you what percentage of alcohol it is? No. They'll tell you the flavor notes. They'll tell you the age of the vine. They'll tell you where it grew, the type of soil. They'll give you all of these different experiential clues or signposts so that you can really understand what you're experiencing. And they're never once like, oh, this Zinfandel's 14%, but try this Zinfandel, it's 15.2%. The only people who really shop for alcohol that way are what we used to call winos or hobos, people who are trying to just get totally inebriated and blotto. And we need to continue to reframe the metric. I think this is a years-long process because it was a years-long process up to pre-215. And then in 215, in gaining a lot of customers, which we needed to do, the entire industry knowledge base took a huge step back. And now with Prop 64 and the further legalization, we gain more customers, the entire knowledge base takes another multi-year step back. And so I think it's just really important for folks who love cannabis and have some stake in this game to continue to just put the message out, share the message that this is an experiential product. It's about the experience. It's not just about getting, retarded high and forgetting about your life. I like to say, a lot of people like to say get effed up, right? Like I got so effed up. I like to say I got high because I'm trying to activate my mind. I'm trying to activate my body. I'm trying to improve myself so I can be more of a help on this planet to my fellow human beings.
You're so active.
And on that, we're going to go to a commercial and we're going to be right back.